And action. Okay, so welcome to the 256 podcast, the podcast where we talk all things wallets with your co-host Eric, myself, and Victor.
Hello.
In today's episode, our first episode, we will touch on many different topics, mostly general topics about Bitcoin, crypto, Web3 wallets, and talk about our personal experiences, the good and the bad, the benefits, the pros and the cons, and then we'll further discuss about what else in this space for wallets needs to happen in order for Web3 wallets to become more, I guess you can say, easier to use for mass adoption, right? So yeah, let's start it off. So Victor, I think the first thing that we should all kind of touch upon is for ourselves, right, as the host, to talk about our first experiences with using a wallet, right?
Yeah.
Whether that be a Bitcoin wallet, crypto wallet, or Web3 wallet. So I guess we can have you start off first.
Yeah.
So I guess, if you can, just chime in on your experiences with the wallet and I guess, the challenges that you kind of faced and also eventually, what made it all click for you as to understanding how it all works. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I guess for a question like this, a little bit of a background information is necessary. So, I got into crypto relatively recently, actually, in 2021. Yeah. So when I first got a job in crypto, and I guess my first experience with a crypto wallet would have to be the Ballet wallet. It's relatively available to find in China where I am. So, honestly, I think it's a great starting point just because, the onboarding UI and user experience is very geared towards crypto newcomers, right? It doesn't have a lot of the more complicated aspects like, what is a seed phrase? I have to find out. And, all the other setups associated with, what you would think of traditionally as industry-leading crypto wallets, that kind of stuff. So, as I mentioned before, I started with the Ballet wallet and, quickly moved on to MetaMask because I realized I kind of want to, move stuff around, engage in DeFi and do all kinds of stuff on chain. And of course, MetaMask is the one you go to. And so, I guess you can say I started off with a BIP38 experience, moved on to 39. And from there, I experimented with other wallets like, Ledger, IM token, that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I would say it's a relatively progressively upward trend line for me. Yeah. What about for you?
Cool. Yeah. I think for me, so I started like what you said, right? You kind of have to go back to when you first started in crypto. For me, I first got into crypto via Bitcoin, which is, mostly how people get into crypto before in the past. So I got into Bitcoin back in 2017, near the tail end of 2017 when Bitcoin's price was skyrocketing towards 10,000 and then 15,000 and then 20,000. But during that time, it was, to be specific, it was October 2017. A friend told me about Bitcoin and then they suggested me to buy Bitcoin online. Mm-hmm. They suggested me to use Coinbase. So I used Coinbase, right? Although, sure, it's not technically a self-custody wallet,
sure,
but it is a form of wallet for newbies, right?
Definitely.
An onboarding experience that Coinbase provides. So yeah, I used Coinbase, purchased my Bitcoin, and basically left it on the Coinbase account for, I would say, a year. I think during that time as well, there's been many instances where I'm just like, okay, so I'm learning about Bitcoin. I'm learning about this whole notion of private keys, right? Every kind of explainer about Bitcoin shows a representation of private keys as a long string of hexadecimal characters or some other kind of very abstract looking kind of characters, letters, and numbers, right?
Very convoluted looking.
Yeah, exactly. Many explainers would show you this, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's the whole notion of, Bitcoin and wallets, right? It's this thing of your private key, right? Something secret you need to keep hidden and safe from anyone outside. So I do remember many instances where I'm asking myself while I'm using Coinbase as to where the hell is my private key, right? I can see my public address, right? That's a shorter hexadecimal character string. But for the private key, I'm always just like, where is the private key, right? There wasn't any button or kind of menu option to look at your private key. I know many of my friends during that time had a ledger or they bought a ledger to move their Bitcoins into. Even with that too, like I question myself, or I question them as to, like, where is your private key on that device? Knowing now, obviously, the private key is in the form of 24 or 12 mnemonic words, but me, still, I was also, since the fact that I wasn't comfortable with or how a private key looks like or how it should be managed, I didn't purchase any cold storage option like a ledger at that time. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, for a full year, I was kind of content with using Coinbase, right? It seemed safe.
Yep.
Convenient,
accessible. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
right. It's my way of purchasing more Bitcoin if I wanted to, but I never got into or had the need to get a self-custody wallet.
Yep.
But I think eventually I did more kind of self-studying as to how a private key works, right? How Bitcoin works, and then trying out different wallets such as Electrum, the Ballet wallet, some other wallets online as well. And with those wallets, right, those are self-custody wallets, right? And those wallets allowed me to see your private key because they give it to you right off the bat when you start off using those wallets. So yeah, overall, I would say my experience with using a wallet was very non-intuitive in the beginning. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kind of deemed my Coinbase wallet as a Coinbase account. But it was until I used other wallets where I finally grasped that, oh, okay, this is what your private key is. This is where it is. This is how you should kind of store it. This is what it looks like in different formats, and so on and so forth.
So this is actually kind of interesting. Did you sort of stumble upon this realization that, oh, here are my private keys after you started using self-custody wallets, or is it more of a you came across some article or like a video, talking about the concepts of self-custody, and then you tried these products out?
I actually don't remember exactly, but
yeah,
I think it could be a combination of both. From my recollection as well, I do remember I've used a few wallets that gave me 12 or 24 mnemonic words, such as MetaMask.
Yeah,
I think at the time too, I sure, they explicitly say that this is kind of like your backup phrase or seed phrase, right? But essentially, it kind of is your private key.
Yeah.
But they never use the word private key. They always use the words, backup seed phrase or whatever. So even at that moment, I was still kind of confused about, where and how exactly does a private key look like?
Right.
Up until now, obviously now both of us understand that the private key is essentially 256 binary numbers, right? 256 bits, hence our podcast name.
Yes.
But at the time, right, it's just like there were so many different ways a wallet will tell you to set up the wallet.
Right.
Also different ways of telling you how you should handle your private key or quote unquote private key. Some of them give you 12 words. Some of them give you 24 mnemonic words. But yeah, I mean, eventually after more self-studying on Bitcoin's elliptic curve, for example, and the cryptography behind it is when I, had that aha moment as to, okay,
Right.
This is what your private key actually is. And this is what other wallets are doing to kind of abstract it from just giving you 256 binary numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But but yeah.